Yeah, well, let's talk about the next game, the Eagles and the Packers, because this one I felt like it should have been a blowout way earlier. The Packers just looked so stale on offense. The Eagles felt like they had opportunity after opportunity to, get in scoring range, and they kind of stagnated. So honestly, this game to me was kind of a snooze fest. There was almost all blowouts this weekend for Wildcard weekend, but this game in particular, I was just like, dude, nothing is really happening. Jalen Hurts is barely throwing the ball. I think he had like 24 yards passing, like really early,
It
or
was like
like
the whole half.
yeah, in the first half. And yeah, it wasn't a great game to watch. And then at the end, the Eagles took over, but Jordan Love in particular was not great. He's getting a lot of heat. What are you feeling about this game? What stuck out to you the most?
Honestly, nothing like it was kind of everything that I said in the lead up to this game. I think that the Eagles stars proved that they are stars and that they are going to overcome when needed. It was just too much. It's a deep roster. There is too much talent on this roster for them to fail in this round. And from the Packers, they're just kind of not there. And I don't want to put the entire blame on Justin or Jordan Love because realistically, he was coming into the game, he was down RW1 or WR1. He was down his first wide receiver. Then, as the game started to wear on, he lost two more receivers in his second and third option. And now he was like working with guys he hadn't really been comfortable with, guys that aren't used to being primary receivers, and just like craft. You know what I mean? So I can't really knock him, but I just don't like what I see from Jordan Love. If I'm going to be completely honest, I wouldn't have paid him when the Packers did. I think that coming off he had a game last year where they blew out the Cowboys and everyone's like, wow, oh my, he's arrived. This is it. Like, oh, my mind's blown. Blah. You know what I mean? And then he goes out in San Francisco and he looks bad. And he seals the game with a game losing interception. And it's just like, okay, that's kind of more realistic. Like, and this game, it just looked bad as well. I'm not saying it's a trend, but if we have one more game, you could be like, all right, well, it's looking like a trend here.
Yeah, and I mean to be fair, on the Jordan Love isn't that great take. He couldn't even beat his own division this year. I think they had like one win against the division. He can't beat any of the top teams in the NFC. He didn't beat any of them this year. So I think you can start to look at it and be like, well, yeah, he beats the bad teams, he loses to the good teams, he struggles against the division. Why did we pay this guy? He's
Yeah.
supposed to be, elevating this team. And yeah, there was a lot of it, receivers hurt, but if you're paying a guy, top dollar, you kind of expect him to rise above that.
But also, like, this is in fairness, this is a guy, and this is in fairness to him. This is a guy that doesn't have a whole lot of seasons under his belt being the starting quarterback. And now he's thrust into the role where it's like, no, you had to skip an entire generation or evolution of yourself from where it should have been rookie. I take my licks. I get a little bit better. I maybe have a sophomore slump, and then I figure it out from there. And now I'm the team leader. Now he has to kind of just microwave and go straight to team from guy who's barely starting to team leader and winning these playoff games. It's pretty tough. I mean, we've seen guys that are more talented in Justin Herbert that just can't get their team over the hump. So I'm not going to knock Jordan Love for it. I think that realistically, he was in a tough position. They do need to get more weapons. And I mean, it was just a war of attrition out there that they were absolutely losing. This was a team that was absolutely banged up. I'm not going to put everything on him, but next year he's going to have to deliver in the playoffs. Next year he's going to have to win these games that everyone's whispering about, saying that you can't beat good teams, Jordan. No, you're going to have to go out there and prove it next year.
Yeah, and I mean he has Josh Jacobs. I think the defense was pretty solid. Uh, he definitely needs weapons. I think they need the the whole thing with Aaron Rodgers for a long time was they're not getting him help. They're not getting him a star receiver after Devontae was gone. And I think they kind of they kind of got off that narrative when it's like, okay, Dobbs and Christian Watson are starting to look like guys, Jaden Reed. But like, let's be real here, none of them are wide receiver ones. And I think they're kind of borderline wide receiver twos. Like, I don't think they're that amazing. I don't think his receiving core is that great. Tucker Kraft is looking good at tight end, but they need to get a legit wide receiver one, or at least some better wide receiver twos out there. Like, if Jordan Love's not going to be Josh Allen running out there with Curtis Samuel and a bunch of nobodies, like winning games, then let's get him some more talent on the outside.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, this isn't the worst wide receiving core in the league, but it's not the best by far. I mean, especially if you lose one or two guys, you're really kind of scraping the bottom of the barrel there. But I mean, let's talk about the Eagles now, because the Eagles did end up figuring it out throughout the course of this game. There was a very long stretch where Jalen Hurts didn't even complete a pass. I believe it was for like a full quarter. And so where are we at on the Eagles? I mean, they do end up figuring out, they get the win, but it was kind of a rough start for the playoffs.
Yeah, and as long as AJ Brown's happy, like he's not upset that he only had one catch, 10 yards, and the mindset with Saquon now in that locker room is as long as we win, we're happy, and it looks like it's rubbed off a little bit, then they should feel fine that they're in that spot. Jalen Hurts taking it off of his arm as much as possible is the correct game plan. And with Saquon, with Devontae Smith looked amazing out there. And AJ Brown, he can go out there and get some go balls. He's a great receiver. So when the time comes and they need to throw, I feel confident about the wide receiver's abilities. But if we don't gotta throw, then why are we gonna throw? Like, just that was perfect. Let's play defense. Let's run the ball with Saquon and let's get a lead. And I think playing from ahead is going to be really crucial for this team.
But it wasn't the fact that, hey, we don't have to throw. Like, they weren't like dominating this game for a good portion of it. Like, realistically, he should have made some throws. Like, I feel like Jalen Hurts got kind of gun shy at certain points, didn't want to pull the trigger on things, wasn't really making his reads. And it felt like there's just something missing. Like, is it because he was rusty coming off of the concussion? Or is it, hey, we have a disconnect here between me and AJ Brown. I'm not comfortable going to him. I don't know what he's thinking as far as where he's going to go on these. We're just out of sync here, and I'm not going to. That closes down that side of the field for me.
I mean, I will say in the Eagles' defense, yeah, the Packers were in striking distance for a good chunk of this game, but I mean, you could just feel that the Packers didn't have it, and the Eagles were in control. And I don't think the Eagles really felt threatened by the Packers for I would say the whole game. Like, they didn't feel like the Packers had it tonight, and they didn't feel the need to be like, hey, if we don't score on this drive, like, we're giving them hope, we're giving them a shot, because the Packers felt like they didn't have a shot.
Yeah, but if you got your wide receiver one out there reading a motivational quotes to kind of stay locked in, like, you got to do something.
He reads it every game. He reads it every game. That's the first time he got caught on camera. We're blowing it out of proportion.
The fact that they caught Mark Sanchez eating a fucking hot dog, you're gonna tell me that that's the first time on camera that they caught AJ Brown reading a book? Bullshit.
Apparently, he takes it every game. He reads it in between every drive to stay mentally locked in.
I'm calling it. I'm calling bullshit. There is no random pictures on Twitter from somebody like, oh, look at AJ Brown reading this book. Nothing. No. At any point, no. This is yeah.
We should maybe on Redbook. Maybe on Redbook, there's a video of AJ Brown throughout the weeks reading this book. I don't know. By the way, if you guys think we should become Redbook content creators, we'll be the first sports guys on there. Let us know.
All right. I don't want to learn Mandarin.